I'm here for the Introduction to Outrigger Canoe course.
Excellent. So before you enter our shed, I'm going to ask you some COVID questions just to make sure you are feeling healthy and well. You are feeling healthy and well today?
Yes.
No dry cough, sore throat, fever?
No.
Excellent. Haven't been traveling anywhere within 14 days outside of Canada?
No, I haven't.
Excellent. And you haven't been waiting on test results for COVID?
No.
Excellent. So, as we enter our shed, I'm going to ask you to sanitize your hands before. So we'll enter it. Our sanitizing is here.
Okay.
Also, we do want to be wearing a mask when you do come in. For video purposes, I am not wearing one, so apologies.
No problem. This is where we store the boats?
Yes, it is. This is our club shed. We store all of our boats here, all of our equipment. So today we'll be talking about our hookies and our sea lions, which are our outrigger canoes that we have here at the club. So right now, there are multiple parts for the canoe itself. There are our ayakus. These ones are specifically for the sea lion. These ones are specifically for the hookie. You will be focusing on the sea lions today.
Okay.
So if we follow a little bit farther into the shed, I'll show you where the rest of the stuff is. These boats over here are our hookies. They are more delicate. They are more for the advanced paddler and everything. The more you paddle our sea lions and everything, the more experience you get with it. And there's another orientation to be able to take these ones out.
They're beautiful.
Very fun.
Awesome.
So over here, I should say just ignore these ones for the time being. These ones are called our amas, and they are part of what we will be paddling in. So they're all stored here. Farther in, these ones are our hookie ones. Forget these are here, they're not here for the moment. Further in are our sea lions. So these ones are the boats that we will be paddling in and taking out. They all have a number on the very front, or the nose of the boat. The number does not matter what you use for the ayaku or the amas. They won't match, it's okay.
What order do we take our equipment down to the dock?
Yeah, good question. So when we're going down to the dock, we grab the ama and ayakus first. That's the smaller thing on the dock, so it's less things on there for people to trip around or to walk around. The second thing we bring down to the dock is the actual canoe itself. So, if I'm going to grab my bits first, the ama and ayaku is what we call the bits. Not sure why. I come in, I grab my ama, arm underneath as well. I find the balancing point of it so it's not too far forward, not too far back. I don't want to hit either end with anything around the shed. I would walk over and grab my ayakus. There are two of them. One of them is straight, which is the front. One of them is bent, that is the back one. You want both of them. You would also grab your paddle in your hand as well. And you would walk straight down out the stairs. When you're walking down them, make sure the end of your ama is not hitting the ground or the stairs. And to the dock. So for carrying our outrigger canoes, we do two people per boat. One person on the very back, one person on the very front. And you want to be closest to either end, that way you know exactly what's behind you or in front of you. So when you're coming to unclasp this, you want to lift the boat up for one arm, so that way it gives clearance and it doesn't smack down. Your other arm is unclipping the boat. When both sides are unclipped,
How do you put this boat together?
Yeah, so once you are on the dock, imagine we're on the dock. We have our hull of our canoe here. We have our ama, which is this one. We have both of our ayakus. So once we have everything all together, we're ready to rig. We always want to rig on the left-hand side of the canoe. And there is an order on how to do it. So you want to grab your ayakus first. The straight one is for the front. The bent one is for the back. It doesn't matter which one you put in first, so long as both of them go in first. So I'm going to put in the front one first. You'll also note that there's a difference between the pin and the edge of it. This one will have more space. This one will be more small. Each one of them are slightly different for some reason. So the longer portion that you have goes into the hull. The shorter portion goes into the ama. So when I'm putting it in, I put it in gently. I don't want to jam it in because then it will damage the side of the hull. So when it's there, I push it down, jiggle it in until you hear the click. So it's in. I also want to make sure that it's down onto the grass or the dock. I never want to have it rigged up because then somebody could walk into it or something like that as well. So always have it down. So the front, the back with the bend in it, same thing, nice and gently. Hear it click. So the ama, you always want to put the front end in first and the back end last. The smaller portion, the smaller size is always the front. The larger size is always the back. So when I'm putting it on, I want to make sure that it's parallel to the actual boat itself, or else the angle will not work. So when you put it in, make sure it's lined up. Again, same thing, nice and gently. Push it down until you hear a lock. You might need to either pull it up or down a little bit in order for it to actually go in. They're a little sticky, but you'll get it in there. So once the front is in, you want to move to the back of it. The back now has multiple options though. So when you're putting it in, there will be either 3 holes, 4 holes, or 2 holes. The lower the down that you put it in, the heavier rigged it is. So if you are a heavier person, just in general, you want to either put it down below because it makes it more stable. More stable also means a little bit less fast, but you will not hoolie. So the higher you rig is the lighter rigged. So if you're somebody very, very tiny or for light, you want to have it somewhere on the very top. You will be a little bit less stable, but you could go faster. However, when you set everything up though, you want to get actually in your boat and you want to kind of do a little wobble test just to actually feel how you're sitting. You don't want to be sitting too far to the right or else you'll hoolie. You don't want to be sitting too far to the left or you'll just be very uncomfortable. It's not a very good body position to be in. So for starting out, I would recommend being in the center. And when you're also doing this, you want to put your foot underneath the ama because that way it gives a little barrier, not pushing it down onto the dock itself. So you just stand and adjust wherever you need it. And you're fully rigged. There are a couple different things before you start going though, to do a couple different checks to make sure that you are actually ready to go paddle. So the first thing is our plugs. There is a plug on the front of the hull. I want to make sure that's in. There is a plug on the back of your ama. You want to make sure this is screwed on. 2 plugs to check. The next thing is your rudder. You want to press down on your foot pedals and look back at the rudder moving. Sometimes it will get stuck, so you just want to make sure that it's actually moving properly. The next thing is your seat. So on the dock, when you're fully all ready to go, you want to sit next to your boat and you want to have your heels next to where they would be on the boat, and you want to have about a fist kind of underneath here off of your calves because that way you can actually have motion. You don't want to be too far forward because then you don't have any motion and your legs will get very stiff. You don't want your feet too close to you, because then you still don't have a lot of motion. So fists underneath, and that'll be good for you. To adjust the seat, you want to pull up on the clasp and pull the seat back or forward, depending on what length that you need for it. When it's at a right length, push it down, give it a test, and it should be good. Sometimes they don't actually work, so you have to fold it through again and actually clip it.
Could I put a knot into it?
No, never put a knot in it. That way it gets stuck very easily and it's a lot harder to try and undo for the next person taking it.
Okay.
Yes, that's it. So when you've gone for your paddle, you come back, your boat is up on the dock and you're ready to de-rig it. You want to take it apart. You want to take it apart the opposite way of how you rigged it. So you want to take the back ayaku from the ama first. Again, you can put your foot underneath just to give a barrier. Push it aside a little. Come to the front. Take the front off. When you do this, you want to make sure that you have clearance from the edge of the dock, because this will be the edge of the dock. You don't want it to fall into the water. They do float, but do not try that. The ayakus, on the other hand, do not float, so don't try that. And again, just push it down, pull it out. Same with your back one. Push the button in and out. When you have everything all together, or undone, you want to grab your ama and ayakus and walk to the center of the dock. That way it is off of the side of the dock and other people can come on or off the dock without any kind of objects to go over or possibly kick into the water. When you are bringing the boat up from the water, you want to take the hull first. It is the largest thing, so just to get it off of the water first. And then you want to bring your amas and ayakus. The huli. How do you get in? How does this work? So there's multiple different ways on how to get back into the boat and how to right your boat once you have huli, aka capsize. You have fallen in. So say you're paddling along, and you accidentally fall over. You found a $100 bill and you went to reach it, but you fell in. So when you're paddling and you fall in, you're going to generally pop up somewhere in here. When you do fall in though, you want to be mindful of your head. You don't want to try and push away from the boat when you fall in. Just roll gently. Don't want to go too far because you don't want to hit your head on the ama or the ayakus. So when you roll, kind of take a deep breath, whatever, hold your head, it's all good. When you pop up though, you want to make sure that you are okay, first of all. Second of all, where's your paddle? So you want to hold your paddle at all times because that's what's going to get you back home afterwards. So I'm here. The first way that I'm going to show you how to do it is you want to be positioned here somewhere. You want to be still holding your paddle. You can have it right in front of you if you need both hands, but the best way is to still hold it. Your left hand is going to grab the back ayaku. Your right hand with that paddle is going to go underneath the boat to the opposite side of where the boat is. So I'm going to push up with my left hand and I'm going to pull the boat with the paddle and my arm towards me to flip it up. When you are flipping it, make sure that it lands gently on the water. You never want it to have it smack on the water because it does damage the amas quite a bit. So once you have righted your boat, you can put your paddle into the cockpit area because that way you have both hands free. The quickest way to get back in is you can actually swim under the boat, or depending on if you want to swim under or not, you can swim around the boat. So when you're swimming around the boat, hold the boat at all times or else it will float away from you. Swim away around, swim under the ayakus. And you want to position yourself somewhere here. Next to the boat, your paddle is still inside, so you have both hands free again. So the first one is you can do a belly flop into the boat. So you want to be wearing your PFD nice and tight as well. The very bottom of it, you want to try and hook onto the actual seat or inside the cockpit area. So my left hand will be on this side, my right hand will be on this side. My feet will be away from me, because that way when I swim, I'm going to kick my feet as hard as I can under the water to try and project myself up and over the boat. So at the same time as I'm kicking, I'm going to bring myself to the boat and my chest on top of the seat. When I am here, I can hook my leg around, and then I'm kind of in here. My paddle will still be here. I can adjust it, and I can just take a deep breath, kind of have both feet in the water still to kind of brace myself until I'm ready to put both feet in, and then I'm in the boat. So that's one version. The second version, I'm going to flip this around again. Nice and gently. Is it? So I flipped into the water again. I am again popped up somewhere inside of here. The other option is to either swim under, still holding onto my paddle, or swim around. When I'm swimming around, I need to swim under the ayaku. I never want to swim on top of it, because that way it adds pressure onto the boat. I don't want to do that. So swim under, holding on to the boat and my paddle until I'm somewhere near the back ayaku. You can also tell, depending on what boat you're in, the sea lions itself, you can always tell. You can feel underneath where the edge of the cockpit is. That is typically where the ayaku is as well. So, I'm holding my paddle. I'm going to kick my feet really, really strongly, and I'm going to catapult myself over the boat, and I'm going to grab the ayaku. My other hand can be on the opposite side. I'm going to pull the ayakus toward me with my right hand. My left hand is pushing away from me. When I'm doing this though, I want to make sure I'm inside of this rectangle, because that way I'm not going to hit my head. Again, just gently lower it down onto the water, and you've righted your boat. At this point, put your paddle in the boat, and now you have a free hand. So the other version is to kind of wedge yourself in this little corner. There we go. And I want to bring my right hand as close to my body as I can, next to the seat. My left hand is going to be on the back ayaku, as close to my body as I can as well. The closer I can get, the more leverage I have to push up and down. The farther away I am, I don't have a lot of leverage. So at the same time as I'm going to kick my feet really, really hard to propel myself up, I'm going to press up and wedge my butt into the seat. When I'm here, I can kick my other foot over, and then I'm in the boat. I can again adjust my paddle, keep my feet in just to kind of stabilize myself until I'm ready to go in. And that's two different versions on how to get the boat righted and to get back into it. So when you bring the boats down to the dock, there are different kind of stations that you want to position your boats into. So along this side of the dock, one boat fits. You also want to make sure that when you rig it to the left and the arm is closest to the water. There are two stations on this side of the dock. One here, one here. Again, when you rig it, you want to rig it left and make sure that you have enough room from the edge of the dock for your ALMA and to have everything rigged fully. If there are more than 3 boats at one time, you want to have it on the center of the dock, which is this portion up here. The dock is slightly raised, so when you are going back and forth, just be mindful of your step. This one, you want to make sure that the rudder is farthest closest to the island. That way when you rig it, you're rigging left, and you have two people to carry it directly over, so you can just put it into the water. You don't need to rotate it anywhere. When you first come down though, you want to bring down your amas and your ayakus. When you're putting them down on the dock, you want to put them somewhere along the center here. This way you're able to have a little bit more room to move around and to walk around, and you don't trip on anything. When they're here also, and then you have your boat, everything here on the dock, then you can grab it, walk over to your boat, and rig it together. Make sure you go through all of your rigging steps to make sure all your plugs are in, your seat and everything, and your rudder is working. And then have two people again to put it into the water. So when you finish your paddle and everything, you want to bring the hull up first, because it's the largest thing. Then we get it off of the dock. The first thing you want to do though is spray the cockpit, which is this area right behind the seat, up to the front of the foot pedals with Lysol. Each station will have a Lysol bottle. They'll be a little different, but you want to spray it all along first. Once that is done, you want to go down to the dock and grab your ama and ayakus. So when everything is all up here, including your paddle, your PFD, whatever other gear that you have, bring it all up here. While the Lysol is sitting though, you want to use the boat soap, which I know it says rinse, but you want to use this, and you want to wash the entire boat minus where you have sprayed the Lysol. So this just gets off all of the gunk or whatever is on the water, top and bottom. Turn it around, get the underneath. When you're doing this also, you want to make sure that you don't see any damage to your boat as well. As you are going through the entire boat, you want to look for cracks, any kind of soft spots. And if you do, you want to report it to whoever is working at the shed for the day. So that way they know that this boat needs to be looked at and fixed. Entire thing. Around. Okay, so once this one is washed up with the soap, you want to walk over to the ama and ayakas. Same thing. Wash the ayakas. And the ama. When you are washing them though, specifically for the ama, you want to make sure that it's off of the ground. So these two little horses might fall over at some point, or it's easily kicked. Just make sure that they're standing up straight and the ama does not go on the ground, because that way you can damage it. So once everything is soaked up, there will always be a water bucket. They might be looking a little different depending on who's working or when you come here for. You want to use clean water. And you want to wash everything off. Backers. And the boat as well. At this point, you also want to wash the inside where you sprayed the Lysol. Because it was sitting for a little bit, it was able to do its thing, and now you can wash it off. And then dump it out after. Once everything is soaked, Lysoled, and washed with clean water, you want to use a chamois and chamois all of the boat and the ama. This does not actually dry your boat. The purpose of this is to get the rest of the soap off that was not rinsed off earlier with the water. So again, you want to do the entire boat for it. Again, keeping an eye on any of the damage or anything, taking a look at the rudder. If there's anything stuck onto it, take it off, like any grass or seaweed. You do not need to chamois the inside, just the rest of the boat where the soap was. You hated this.
I know. You mind every few seconds.
And you do not need to chamois the ayakus as well. So once all of that is done, your boat, ayakus, and ama are ready to go back into the shed. If you need a hand with it for 2 people again for carrying the boat in, ask your partner that you're with, ask whoever your coach or whoever is working at the dock for it. Thank you.